What's up YouTube, Webberz05 here, coming at you today with Q&A number 82. So it's been a while since I've done a Q&A, but naturally it's kind of hard to do a Q&A when you don't have any Qs, but I've just seen that Dark Magician 84 has posted some questions for me, so thank you very much, my friend. He's also sent a small apology saying I too apologise that it's been a while since I've submitted questions I've actually just thought, so I completely understand, man. It's taken me a while to think of some questions I wanted to ask you as well, but don't worry too much about it. I've had other stuff going on, so I've got 8 questions today, so let's hop right into it. Also guys, before I get into the questions, I do apologise for the slight background noise. That's just my aircon unit. For those who don't know, I have a condition to UV light, so I can't be out in sunlight, which also means for my lifestyle I can't do things like open windows and doors to escape the heat, so I have an air conditioning unit in my room, which frankly just kind of feels a bit better. But so yeah, that if you're hearing just noise in the background, that's just that. So 1. Can you believe it's been 8 years since Link monsters came into the game? Yeah, that feels kind of crazy that it's been 8 years since Links. That being said, I could argue it's a similar thing for my YouTube, because I started YouTubing around the same time Links came out. So yeah, 8 years of Links, 8 wonderful years of Webberz05. So yeah, pretty great overall. And I'm trying to load the next question. I recently threw a screensaver onto my laptop, so it's taking a while. There's a bit of a lag between the screensaver and going back. 2. I know we talked about a possible Link pendulum monster, but with pendulums being around for 11 years and Link's 8 years, we still don't have one. Why do you think that is? To be fair, I think probably the reason is because it's possibly one of those kind of complicated things, depending on like where the Link arrows go to, like, because typically most extra deck pendulum monsters will have an effect that puts itself into the pendulum scale when it gets destroyed, or by some other means. And so some players would be thinking, will the Link arrows still apply if it's in the pendulum zone? So they'd need to figure out a decently fair way to put that in if they do so. And in all fairness, they only added in a ritual pendulum only a couple of years ago, so kind of still feels, so for me, I'd say it kind of still feels like we're a couple of years off before we get a Link pendulum. And also based on what Konami's been like with pendulums, we only get like typically one really good wave of pendulum support per series. So we had Dimension Force, that was 2 series ago. This series we've had Age of Overlord, so for the moment we're just gonna have to, so the assumption is we'll have to wait until the next main series of cards before we get into a decent bit of pendulum. But I'm pretty sure Duelist Advance is actually within the next series. It's actually within the next series of cards. I'm just gonna have a quick browse online here. And also hard to believe that Duelist Advance is only a couple weeks away as well. Crazy. This year's just flying by. Loading, 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 loading. Okay, so while that loads, I'm just gonna go. Okay, so while that loads and I check around like when the next series goes into it, I'm gonna get on to question 3. If you could play any elemental heroes in any of your decks, which ones would they be? That's kind of hard to call. I can't really think of too many elemental heroes that would be useful in any of my decks, because well, most of the effects are tended towards hero monsters themselves. All the heroes are warrior monsters, and none of my decks kind of work that well with warriors. Also, nothing I have is really like too attribute specific. So yeah, kind of hard for me to call, but if I were to pick one, elemental hero I would play in my entirely sure. Maybe I think for the sake of it, maybe I'll just say Neo. Maybe just Neos. Just because he's a level 7, which makes him useful in a lot of strategies. Like Endymion wise, level 7s with a pendulum summoning range, so useful for that standpoint, I suppose. As for my other decks, not really too much. I suppose if I could think of a level 4 hero that could special summon itself, I could play that in Plunder Patrol. I don't know. It's kind of hard to call what hero will my deck. Oh, the thing on Duelist Advance has come up. Yeah, so Duelist Advance is the first core booster in Series 13, which means starting from Duelist. So Duelist Advance will be the start of the new series. So that could mean. So I would assume somewhere along the lines we're going to get a set which is based around pendulums, and then maybe from there we will finally get a link pendulum. That would be my guess, considering the time frame between the last one and now. So maybe at that point. If not, then God knows when and if we will ever get a link pendulum. 4. If you could play any Destiny heroes in any of your decks, which ones would they be? Destiny heroes, I would probably have to just say probably Malicious, because I can play that very easily in any strategy that just involves milling. I can play that quite easily in a strategy that involves milling cards, and then it's just an easiest. And then, pretty sure, is Malicious at 2 again? I feel like Malicious is at 2 again. So still, even if I could just mill the 1, it's a one-time decent extender. So why not? And let's be honest, if people are going to play a Destiny hero, it's probably going to be Malicious. Well, maybe that'll disc Commander if you've got a way to bring it back later in the duel. Oh, nice. 5. If you could play any evil heroes in any of your decks, which ones would they be? To be fair, I could do something like playing a Dusted Gold in Plunder Patrol just for the purposes of searching Dark Fusion, since the lone Dark Fusion just states that it fusion summons a Fiend monster, so that actually works in Plunder Patrol, and then gives the summoned monster targeting immunity for the remainder of the turn, which is pretty good. I could also argue that I might want to play Evil Hero Malicious in a deck because it's just a one tribute piercer, which is kind of nice. But yeah, those would probably be like the 2 main ones I'd want to play. I could probably have suggested one of the newer ones, but I haven't really taken a proper look. I took a very brief look at Vicious Claws because I used it in my sneak peek for what was it? Oh yeah, it was Alliance Insight because that's where it came out, but I don't really entirely remember what it did. But from what I can remember, it was pretty useful. 6. If you could play any masked heroes in any of your decks, which ones would they be? I feel it'd be kind of boring to say Dark Claw. I mean, Dark Claw would probably be the easiest thing to do because pretty sure Mask Change 2 it just counts the attribute of the monster. It doesn't care if it's a hero. But to be fair, I probably wouldn't. If Mask Change 2 is, I actually forget how Mask Change 2 works, but I'm pretty sure it's just target a monster. So, to be fair, Masked Hero Acid wouldn't be too bad in Plunder Patrol, just so I've got a way to board wipe my opponent's back row. Pretty cool. As for the other Masked Heroes, I kind of don't really remember what half of them do anymore, so, but yeah. I remember Acid's pretty good, so I'd probably go with that. So just Masked. 7. If you could play any Vision heroes in any of your decks, which ones would they be? I would probably have to say Vion, just on the reason that it's like summon. Then if I was to play other heroes, mill something, then I could just banish that hero and search polymerization if I'm playing a deck that's a fusion-based strategy. So yeah, it could work like that. And finally, question 8. If you could play any Neo-Spatians in any of your decks, which ones would they be? To be fair, I'm quite fond of Hummingbird just for the ability of boosting life, just to be maybe annoying for end of match procedures, but I wouldn't want to be that guy that's specifically playing one specific card just for that reason. It feels kind of jammy. I did rather enjoy my older variant of Evil Heroes, which played Grand Mole, just because, you know, it's a rock, so it can be used for melee, but for Dark Gaia, and just and back then it was just an annoying monster that just got rid of things. But if I was to play one of the heroes in current format, I would probably just have to go for Aqua Dolphin, because ever since that guy did it at Nats, just as a way of scoping out hand traps, it's a pretty useful thing just in that regards. I play so many decks that die to so many of those Ghost Girls and Droll. So if I could just go Aqua Dolphin first, scope one of them out, that'd be great. And that is all the questions I have today, so thank you very much, Dark Magician 84, for your questions. Very amusing as always. And if anyone else has any questions for me, leave them in the comments down below. And I typically do these Q&As every Wednesday UK time, morning or afternoon, depending on my schedule and depending whether or not I actually have questions. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.